I'm Ines from Off the Beaten Track. I'm marketing and community manager. And Off the Beaten Track, I mean, you probably know us already, but we're a small German indie game development studio. And we work on games that make a difference, as we call it. Right now, we're just working on a small project with University Frankfurt. Let's see what other projects are coming up. But the more interesting person today is Alex, who's with me. Oh, other side there. And we're here to talk about Mythwrecked, Ambrosia Island, their upcoming game. But first of all, Alex, give us a short introduction of yourself, who you are, what you're working on, and maybe also of Polygon Treehouse, which is the studio you're working at.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name's Alex, as we touched upon already. So, yeah, we're Polygon Treehouse. We make art-led narrative games. We're a small micro indie studio that was founded about 6 years ago now in Cambridge, in the UK. But now we're in sunny Dundee in Scotland. So we kind of moved up. We all work remotely anyway. And yeah, prior to that, we worked for about 14, 15 years at Sony. So basically, we worked at PlayStation ever since we left university, worked on a whole load of PlayStation games, including lots of the Killzone series and one of the medieval games. And yeah, we decided to go indie when our studio unfortunately got shut down. Um, and we haven't looked back since. We really, really love it. But we're a really tiny studio. Um, we collaborate with different people around the world. And our first game, our debut game, was called Röki, which is a modern adventure game inspired by Scandinavian folklore. And it really, yeah, it was our first game that we'd made like ourselves from start to finish. Obviously, we worked on bigger projects as part of much bigger teams, and so that was a really good experience for us. And it got nominated for some awards. It got nominated for a couple of BAFTAs. It won some awards, not the BAFTAs, unfortunately. I got some cool certificates on the wall saying we got nominated at least, so that's nice. But it gave us a lot of confidence in our approach to narrative storytelling, and so that's what we're continuing to do with our next game, Mythwrecked Ambrosia Island.
It's crazy. I just linked the Röki page, and on there is, of course, the award column that you can check out, and that's a lot. Awesome.
Ha. Yeah,
That's
no,
really a
it's
lot.
cool. We got some like storytelling ones from
Mhm.
the Develop conference, and there's a few. I don't know where the other one is. There's a few around in the background somewhere. But you know, we did. Yeah, we were really, really pleased. And like, yeah, when you're making a game, you're not quite sure what the reaction's going to be. So we were really, yeah, we were really chuffed, very pleased with the reaction.
And of course, today we want to talk about Mythwreck, but I mean, Röki can have a few minutes, right? I
Ah,
just want to say that I really love the game. I played it on my Switch, which I think was like I thought it was perfect platform for it because it's a nice game to play handheld also, and with a beautiful art style that brought some Nordic creatures closer to me, I guess. Most importantly, the is it Tomte or something?
yeah, Tom, yeah.
Tomte. And I can just wholesomely recommend it to anyone. Actually, I just got a new book. I just want to show it very quickly about Nordic creatures.
Oh wow,
And I instantly found the Tomte page in there. There it is. Whoop.
wow, yeah, yeah. They're a bit more scary
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
than ours.
looks a bit meaner than in your
Yeah.
game. But it says in there that they are basically friendly, so
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool. We did when we were kind of traveling around demoing Röki to people, we actually went from E3 to Sweden, um and we actually the place we were demoing at DreamHack was actually the birthplace of John Bauer, who's like this like did all these really famous Scandinavian folklore drawings and paintings of trolls and stuff. So yeah, there's kind of lots of serendipitous things happening with that game.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mentioned it earlier to you, Alex. My my first discovery of Röki was when we looked at pretty business cards because Röki had just especially pretty business cards with like the characters on there. Basically, business cards not for you, the developers, but for the characters of the game, which I thought was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, when we're making any of our games, the same with Röki and same with Mythwrecked, we like to consider it a cast of characters. It's not like there's like the one, like the hero character, but there's guessing so that's the main character you play as. There's
Mhm.
Tuve, there's a little plushy version of her up there. But we like to consider it as a cast of characters. So there's Tuve and there's her father Henrik and her brother Lars. So we like to have a whole cast of characters, especially with like storytelling, because it's you can tell a story just about one person, but the story is much richer when there's a kind of community or a bigger cast involved.
Yeah. And I think there weren't that many characters in Röki, right? But everyone was, as you say, very fleshed out. So limited cast of characters, but everyone very thoughtfully created, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, we also considered all the folklore monsters and creatures part of the cast
Mhm.
as well. And I think one of the kind of interesting things we did with that game, which we've taken across onto Mythwrecked as well, is that we treated each of the kind of creatures you encounter as they're a character, but we kind of treated them as a puzzle within themselves. So it's not like the character is an enigma, the character is a puzzle. So that rather than doing puzzles that are just like abstract or just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing that's not related to everything, all the puzzles related, centered around the creature, centered around the monster. You're trying to help them
Mhm.
rather than just do random stuff. I think that's probably where part of the emotional connection comes from, is that your character is treated as a puzzle. You're trying to help them, and then when you can help them, they'll help you. And that is definitely something that we've taken on into Mythwrecked, which I think is nice. It's a lot of it comes from we want to make non-violent narratives in games and
Mhm.
non-violent games full stop. And so it's the idea of like helping people. Like the world is full of so much horrible stuff that actually having games where you're treating people with kindness, trying to help people, and then getting some help in return. Just want to put some good vibes out into the world and for everyone.
I absolutely love that approach, especially of having mythical creatures that are not, beasts that you have to kill or something. I mean, can be fun in some games, but
Mm.
not all the time. And in your games, actually meeting them, getting to know them, helping them, getting them to help you, maybe. Um, it's, yeah,
Yeah,
just more
yeah,
peaceful.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's fun as well. You're right. I think with anything, whether it's a book, a movie, or a comic, or when you want to kind of subvert expectations, you want to surprise and delight people. And I think you can do that in a whole number of ways. You can do it even like how something moves, like the trolls rolling up into balls and rolling
Mhm.
around, or the kind of Tomte going up inside his hat and like going
Yes,
around like a
yes,
shark's
I
fin.
remember that so well.
So like all I think and like trying to kind of subvert people's expectations, and that's definitely in Mythwrecked with Hades, like well, all the characters don't look as you'd kind of expect them really, and I think it's being playful with stuff and like flipping people's expectations. I think it's nice if you just like give people what they expect. It's maybe always going to be a little bit generic, and you want to surprise and delight people. I mean, ultimately, we're here to entertain, like games, here to entertain people, and I think that's like giving them something maybe they don't expect is a nice way to do that.
Mhm. So we started talking about Mythwrecked already. I'm also gonna quickly link it in chat. I linked Röki already if people want to check it out. But why don't you give us like a quick pitch of
Sure.
Mythwrecked? Like, what is the game about? What can we expect from it? Yeah.
So in Mythwrecked, you play as Alex, who's a backpacker from Britain, and she's taking a much-needed break from modern life for a journey across the Mediterranean in the present day, when her boat is caught in a mysterious storm, and she is shipwrecked on an idyllic island in the middle of the Mediterranean. And she doesn't have any way off the island, and she has to try and find a way home. And this is quite a magical place. And so, in order to get home, she has to enlist the help of the inhabitants of the island who live there. And there's a family of oddballs who live on the island. But they're not just any old islanders, they're actually the long lost Greek gods. So basically, you've stumbled across to the home where they've been hiding out all these years. Um, but they haven't necessarily been hiding out. They've actually all lost their memories. So yeah, they've obviously faded from the modern world. They've been living on this island, and so in order for you to find a way home, you have to make friends with them, earn their trust, and help them to get their memories back. And then maybe you can reunite their um, disjointed family, and they can help you find a way
Awesome. Sounds so good.
home.
We get
And yeah,
into the demo in a second and play that for a while. I'm very excited to try it out. It just started yesterday, but I haven't played for a second. Before that, Divor wrote in chat, I think there's a whole genre of games based around not surprising people too much, the cozy sim, but it has a lot of different design goals and directions.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I think
but
that's true. And I think sometimes you want people to feel like really comfortable. But I think even like in Animal Crossing, there's lots of things. I don't think you want to surprise people in a way of like scaring them necessarily, but yeah, there's lots of like fun little things that can happen in Animal Crossing, or like Littlewood was a kind of cozy game that I played, and there's lots of interesting things that happen there in some of the narrative. So yeah, I mean that's just our kind of personal approach, thinking of like, okay, what can we add to this that will make people go, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And not really in a kind of in a scary way, more of a like a ah, that's interesting. Yeah,
ah.
yeah,
Yeah, but I also think, I mean, this could be a whole discussion, I guess. But there's also a difference between things that are like really unexpected, but they're like, for example, the
I think
portrayal of the gods in your game. But you can still be surprised, I guess, kind of by things that can be expected. I'm just thinking of farming simulator games, and it may not be unexpected for me to, have sheep available for my farm, but the moment when I can unlock them and that I can unlock them at some point might still be surprising to me, I guess.
hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
The rod, it says, I totally agree. A huge part of fun is surprise. Yeah. I mean, just unlocking new things, getting to discover things that you haven't seen before. That's it for me,
Yeah.
definitely.
I think that's it was interesting when when we were trying to come up with the idea for what game we were making next with Mythwrecked. It was the start of like we finished Röki in COVID lockdown, the first one. And so like the idea of the game, in COVID lockdown, you couldn't meet any of your friends, you couldn't travel to new places, and obviously we were all missing friends and family quite a lot. And so the idea of a game where you get to go somewhere new, meet a whole load of new people, make a whole load of new friends, and reunite their family was something. So basically, the game itself and its themes of friendship. We describe the game as a friend 'em up or like a cozy adventure, but the themes of the game comes out of like feeling really down the dumps, kind of a bit isolated and a bit scared from COVID. So I'm sure like a lot of people were, but you'd see like a lot of films and TV shows coming out which were kind of uh, springboarding off COVID and the experiences that are happening. And I think we've done that, but in a very kind of non-literal way. It's like, well, that's about all that stuff. So what's the stuff we'd like to do? How about we make a game that's like a little joyous bomb that explodes with goodness? So yeah.
And I think games are like that are also rising up a bit, right? I mean, the whole cozy and wholesome genre.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of it, of just escaping reality in a nice way instead of, I don't know, I'm not a fan of, playing Dark Souls and torturing myself in the evening. Um, I just like to, and nothing against people that like that, of course. For some people, that's their escapism, but I want something nicer.
Yeah, I think it's about suspending that disbelief and creating that strong sense of place. And I think that's something that's really interesting. And like I think a strong sense of place and feeling like somewhere is tangible, that you're kind of there, it feels very memorable. That's something that's shared across like a lot of really like great games. Like Dark Souls has like a really good sense of place. Obviously, the stuff you're doing there is quite different, but I think that feeling of being transported and the combination of music, art, sound design, just really giving you that strong sense of place. That's something we really pushed for in Röki, and we're really pushing for in Mythwrecked as well, just to make something that feels like you know where it is, and it doesn't have to be the most like sophisticated graphics in the world. Like I remember playing like the original Monkey Island game, and that's such a strong sense of place. Like I really felt like I've been transported. Um,
I
and
just
so
I just
yeah,
replayed that like 2 weeks ago, actually. I mean the remade version of it, but
mm.
I'm just playing through the whole Monkey Island series again.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I think that's something that's really I think definitely a key goal is creating that sense of place and keeping people like when you're playing a game, you have this um, we're asking the player to suspend disbelief. They know that this is like they're looking at a screen and they know these characters are polygons and they don't really exist. When you're playing a game, you're suspending your disbelief, and we want to protect that and like keep it really safe. So like we'll try and do everything we can to make sure you have help systems in the game to keep the player in there. Everything we're doing in the game, we're trying to do within the fiction of the game world rather than abstract menus. I think like as that's something we really try and do is like the player has been generous enough to trust us with this
Mhm.
sense of disbelief. So we have to protect it and make sure they don't get brought out of the game. Try and keep them trapped in there, and like really absorbed in the game. And that's something, yeah, I think that's a really we try and do a lot with all our games.
And also what I really love about this is the accessibility of these kinds of, cozy and wholesome games, I guess, that are um, well, have their challenges, but are basically easy to play because, I mean, Dark Souls is just the obvious, other side of it, but not everyone can play Dark Souls. There are people who just can't or don't want to or aren't good enough, which is kind of the point of the game. But then there are games that are really allow everyone to play and to have fun and to immerse
Yeah,
themselves.
I think that's the thing. Having no, but we have no like fail states in our games. Like you could never like fail the adventure. I think we want them to feel like very welcoming, safe spaces. People can feel free to explore and enjoy. Like and even like down to there's much more accessibility controls within Mythwrecked than there was in Röki, which is something we kind of really pushed for this time around. In terms of like remapping controls and changing how like you progress dialogue, changing the color of all the dialogue bubbles, even down to like non-dialogue captions that you can if someone's heart just playing with the volume down or has any issues with their hearing, they can still walk next to like a seagull and it'll come up saying squawk, or like next to a waterfall and it'll say like waterfall splash sounds. So we really want to like make sure everyone feels welcome in the game, and yeah, and it feels one of the key things that like me and my wife play games together quite a lot, but she didn't grow up playing console games, so she can't. She just really struggles with third-person camera controls. So, like running the character, and then you're using like the right stick to move the camera around. So in all our games, we use like dynamic tracking cameras. So we'll kind of orchestrate the cameras for the players. They just have to run around and enjoy the game. That's something that's really interesting because some of that stuff is very assumed. Like people assume that everyone can do that third-person camera stuff. Whereas actually, people who are new to games, that's quite an abstract thing. Like, moving the camera around with the right stick. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like it doesn't make. It's not massively. Once you're used to it, it's fine. Um, so yeah, we just try and do everything we can to make sure that as many people can enjoy our games as possible. Really, I think it's about layering up lots of little steps and little ingredients to try and achieve that effect.
Divo asked, how do you try to keep your press the A button to jump prompts diegetic? But I gotta admit, I don't know the word diegetic.
I'm guessing it's like talking about it within the fiction of the game world. And
Ah,
yeah, there's like certain things. There's definitely certain things that you can't do. Some of that stuff has to be really clear. I think there's a balance there because what you don't want to do is have a really minimal UI and the player is completely flummoxed or can't understand what they're meant to be doing or what button they're meant to be pressing. So yeah, there's definitely a balance there. I think you can try and push some of that stuff back. But for example, the type of thing that I'm talking about is that like within the game, within Mythwrecked, one of the first things you do on the island is you find this Ambrosia device, and it's like a magical tablet-like device that only works on the island, that kind of expands and contracts, and that is then the thing that you're using to like look at your maps, look at your different lore entries, track your different friendships with your characters, but it's something that's like within the fiction of the game world rather than being an abstraction. And one of the other key ones, as I put my teeth back in, is the how we offer help to the player if they're stuck in the game. So one, I'm playing through. I've got a load of retro games, like on a console. You can see something back there. I'm playing through Breath of Fire, and it is like I have to look at a walkthrough like every like 5 minutes to work out what on earth I'm meant to be doing. But I think one of the things like you don't want to make the game so easy that people will never get stuck because there's no challenge. That can be quite unsatisfying. You want like some challenge there, but when people struggle with things, you want to offer support for that. But so you might want to say like, okay, players stuck, like yeah, they can go and like look at a walkthrough online, but that's really taking them out of the experience of the game, which is exactly what we talked about. So how about we have a character in the game who they can go and talk to, who will offer them assistance within the fiction of the game world. So therefore you're going, okay, I'm stuck in the game, I don't know what to do. Rather than get my phone out and go and look at this stuff, I go, okay, I'll go and talk to that character, and they can help and guide you within the game world. And in Mythwrecked, that character is called Aura, who's the Oracle. She's a statue in the front of the island. You can go and ask her questions about things. So I think there's definitely a balance there. But yeah, I think it's just trying to do what you can to keep the player inside the game. But yeah, that's totally right. There's times where you just need to go press A. And people do that. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
there are people who need that, who need very clear directions, right? Yeah, Deborah writes, thank you for the answer. And you guessed right with the word diegetic. That I didn't know. I wanted to add something, but now I forgot. Well, whatever. Oh yeah, just grabbing up on that hint thing you said. I just agree that it's so important for modern games to have a hint system in there because it's just so easy for us to just grab our phone and Google it. Like I guess 20 years ago or so, we would take more time to work on a puzzle because we didn't have all the options, and now you're really quick to just grab your phone and Google it. So I really like in-game hint systems that are good. And again, Monkey Island, for example, now I'm in Return to Monkey Island right now, and they have this like multi-step hint system. So
yeah.
they will ask you, at what thing are you stuck? Then you can say, yeah, this and that, and then it's multiple layers of giving you a slight hint, and if you need more, then giving you a bigger hint, which I think is really great to, as you say, just keep in the game, don't go out.
Yeah, I think my favorite one I've experienced in other games is Chicory has an amazing one where you can ring your mum, and so you'll be like a phone booth, and you can ring your mum, and it'll show like a split screen, and your mum will be there, and she'll give you some broad advice about what you should be doing.
I love
Then you'll
it.
see this like paw come in from the side of the screen, and she's like, "It's your dad. He wants to speak to you. Do you want to speak to him?" If you choose to speak to the dad, he'll give you much more specific advice
That's
on
so
like
cool.
yeah, and that's just like a really nice it's a really fun way of doing it. That's really like really playful, definitely within the fiction of the
I
game world.
love
And it's kind of
it.
like fun because like dads are probably always there going, "Let me on, let me talk." Yeah,
I want more calling parents in
yeah,
games. It reminds me of Pokemon, like second generation, when your mom started collecting money for you and you could call it to see how
fun.
much she saved up. Okay, I think we talked for a while now. I'll just start the game now and actually try the demo a bit and see some of the stuff you talked about.
Excellent.
Also, I'd like to have a friendship tracker in real life. Can I have that? And it just tells you like,
Well, I think
oh,
now the ones unfortunately
you haven't talked to that friend in a while. You should call her. That would be
yeah,
really good.
we should probably license it for use in real life.
Okay, just a second. Game is loading. And I will stream it to you via Discord. Oops. Give me a moment. Stream is messing up something. I think it should work now. But it's pretty loud. I'll turn down the volume a bit. Well, it's a little loud. Yeah, and I think we can also change the sound in-game as soon as we are in there. So,
Welcome to Rose Island.
let's get lost on an island together. Yay.
Yeah, the game starts just as you've been shipwrecked. So you can imagine there was a huge storm, and this is where we entered the game. So this is Alex, who's our unwitting hero, and she's from Britain but finds herself in the Mediterranean. And Alex actually use a vocal emote system in our game, so the game isn't fully voiced, but they'll have these emotive sounds. And with Mythwrecked, Alex is played by Kanaris-Sotiriou. She's hosted the BAFTAs. She's done lots of stuff for the BBC. She was in the game Paradise Killer as well. Everyone knows that. So yeah, and she's British as well. So like we really believe that in casting people in our games. The audio, that's the volume there. You can hopefully that should work.
Games always start a little too loud for me too. So
no worries.
But also interesting to take a little look at the menu. So I'll just while you talk, I just take a look through here.
Yeah, sure. So there's some options that are probably disabled for the demo, but this is some of the kind of like accessibility stuff we were talking about. So you can choose to remap stuff if you want, and there's also different ways you can change it so that whether you want to hold down a button to sprint or whether you want to like like turn off camera shape, rumble. So, and we're adding more and more stuff to this all the time. But yeah, we're trying to offer as much as we can so that people can adjust the way they're playing, and you can like run off into the water a little bit.
I just turn on the music a little bit just because it makes it easier to
yeah, no, it's all good. And yeah, and thanks for the comment on the art style. So yeah, the kind of art style is same as Röki. We have this like clean graphical art style. Everything is in 3D, as you can see, and it's definitely like a game about 3D exploration. But yeah, it has this kind of clean, crisp style, and we like to make the game world feel quite reactive. So you see, as you go past the urns, they will wobble, and if you run through the bushes, they will wobble, and you can get as the little hermit crabs will get shocked into their shells, and then they'll stay there until you kind of run off. So having like a game world that feels interactive, so even just running around a bit kind of feels cool, rather than I come from an animation background, so like making sure I hate it when I don't hate it. I kind of like it when when everything feels alive, everything's movement. And if you go into a forest, you go outside, everything is moving. Try and pack as much movement into the game world as we can, and have lots of reactive elements. Something we did with Röki, we had these little, called them shy mushrooms, the big toadstools. As you ran towards them, they would just go whoop, and like retreat into the ground, and then they would come back out after you gone. They just felt really cool because it was these little micro gameplay things. It wasn't even really. It's like you're making your own gameplay. It just feels fun when the game world reacts to you. So it's definitely it's something we really like to do. And you can see here, we spoke about it earlier, that the camera is completely just following you as you're running around. So you can just run around. You don't have to worry about camera controls. But you can just enjoy the game, and the camera will switch and do different things. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that preset camera perspective in combination with the way you move freely in the game, so it still feels open and free, although you don't move the camera on your own.
Yeah, and I think there's a really good balancing there of and we want to be quite dynamic with the cameras. One of the nice things about the game being completely in 3D, So even though it has this flat shaded art style, sometimes people get a bit confused. Like, is it 3D? Is it 2D? And one of the things that really is nice about the 3D stuff is that we can zoom right into the character. We can do everything remains like super crisp, and so we can do all that stuff. And we can be really dynamic. We're not limited to like how many pixels are in the sprite or anything. We can like really zoom close into characters. When the opening cutscenes you see of her, it's it's all the same. We're just moving the camera, and it allows us to be quite cinematic in the game. So yeah.
My phone is in here. The first thing you think of.
Yeah, well, I think we're also tied to our phones these days. I know I'm definitely very, very guilty of that. So actually, having a game where the first thing we do is throw your phone in the bin was quite a good one.
Oh, also, just because I forgot it before, but the people in chat are possibly right now working on their Adventure Jam games as well. So good luck to y'all, and stay hydrated and everything. Take breaks.
Yeah, definitely stay hydrated. And yeah, I can see the chat stuff. So thank you very much, Summer B76. I'm glad you like the look of the game. And yes, comment about vector art. Yeah, you can do some of that stuff with vector art too. I think even a step further with 3D stuff, because then you can be, we can look at things from different perspectives. We can, which some of that stuff you can't do with vector art. So it allows us to, yeah, it's just very, very freeing. And like, we're from a 3D background, so I've worked in 3D the whole time I've been within video games. So it's just a natural thing. Like it's what we know. So it's kind of the easiest thing. Otherwise, people are very scared of 3D games, making them. But it's just like for us, it was just it was where our expertise were. So it's good. I'm glad we're offering some people some respite. Here's an example of a reactive bit. You can see this lizard on the wall. So see what happens when you walk up to it.
I love it. Yeah, we are also very excited about Adventure Jam. Of course, we don't take part in it, sadly, but we're gonna try to play as many games as we can on stream afterwards.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
We're also looking forward to that for like all year long to play some Adventure Jam games. There's that Ambrosia. What was it called? Ambrosia Dex.
Ambrosia Dex. Yeah, that's the thing right there. And you'll get to meet our first character as well.
Yeah.
Let's go. Then that's the Oracle statue, right?
Yeah, so that's the Oracle.
Huh? This is the normal phone.
I think with a lot of our games, we try to like have things that sometimes slightly creepy. Like I always remember, like even with like stuff that everyone can enjoy. Like I probably tell by my grey beard, I'm a child of the early '80s, and so we grew up watching 80s kids films. We actually were some of them absolutely terrifying. There's a film called Return to Oz. It's like a sequel to The Wizard of Oz that is the most terrifying film you will ever see. And that was for like kids to watch.
Sounds like a challenge. Now I want to watch it.
Honestly, be prepared. It is really, really scary. And it starts off with her getting electroshock treatment for delusions, and it's got these really some really, really scary characters in it. Some characters with wheels for hands that kind of skate around. Pretty creepy. But yeah, so we try and do stuff that we don't try and make everything saccharine sweet. You want to have some breadth, richness to your world. You want to have some things that are kind of scary.
Wow.
So the Oracle is kind of like your character there to help you, but there's something quite creepy about her as well.
It's like uncanny a little bit, right? Because she's so close to statue, so close to a real human, but something in between that's slightly scary, I guess.
Yeah, I think anything like, because she's so static, and obviously she's kind of still able to communicate with you, and she sees a lot of things, which can be quite unnerving. But yeah, this is a good example of the kind of dialogue camera system. So you can see able to be really, dynamic with the camera, move straight in, everything feels nice and crisp. But yeah, always about the motion, even with like the dialogue cameras, having bits of motion, having the cameras pulling slowly out. I think I generally have a real bugbear for static cameras. I try to like have a little bit because it just gives about imbibing a bit of emotion. So like you, so that if what the person's saying is quite interesting, maybe we're drifting slowly in, coming slowly out. I just like to have that sense of motion with everything. So
It's also, I mean, important to keep dialogues interesting and somehow moving, because it sometimes can feel like a drag of just clicking, clicking, clicking.
yes,
the
absolutely.
movement makes it smoother, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we've been really conscious of is like dialogue fatigue, and making sure that that the dialogue is very punchy and engaging. But the game itself has we call it like a story sandbox system. So you'll probably notice at the start of the game when you examine the tower, it said topic unlocked.
Yeah.
It came down tower, and like there'll be other things where you've unlocked some topics here. So these are all the topics that you've unlocked by talking to people or exploring. That's how it works in our game. You go and explore, you find things and unlock a topic, and then you can go and ask anyone you meet about them. So we wanted this sense of freedom, almost like the story and the mystery of the game is a block of stone that you're chiseling away and you're revealing the mystery underneath. So we wanted that sense of freedom within the dialogue system. So obviously the island is kind of sandboxy, it's like the beach. But we want that within the story as well. And the island's like it's probably about 1 kilometer square. It's like a reasonably sized island. So here you can see, so here you can like move around. You can see where you are is the red flashing star, and
Those
you can
are
like see
characters. Yes, islanders. It says there.
my parallax clouds that I was very, very proud of.
Oh yeah, there. No.
Yeah, and so now
Right?
you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
see,
yeah. It is. Right. Okay.
yeah, you can see like the blue objective thing is like the one which you're meant to try and go to next to find the messenger.
I just wanted to check out like the whole island a bit.
Yeah.
And there are all kinds of fruits and to-dos. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I can check out my backpack and my to-do list. Awesome. And I also really like unlocking these dialogue options, because it feels like point and click games, but you don't just collect items, you collect things to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing. We didn't want so our games are about 3D exploration, and I think basically we want them to be intertwined together. We don't want it to be like exploration here, story here. They need to be like together. They're part of the same thing. I think that's something that was really important, is that by exploring the island you are uncovering the story, and it was really important that those two things are symbiotic and not like separate from each other.
Oh, we can collect fruits. Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know what they
you can
are
see.
there for yet, but I like collecting things, so
Yeah,
watch
so the
me.
fruit. So the game, we'll find out in a little bit. Actually, the game is not all set at night.
Sure.
Actually, Ambrosia Island has a dynamic day and night system.
Mm-hmm.
So once the game gets going, you'll see it's actually having this dynamic day and night system, and be able to see what time it is. The fruit can regrow over time. So there's a lot of fruit you can collect, and maybe won't get through it in this playthrough, but actually the fruit's really important in the island, because it's something you can use to swap with the gods that you meet. Each of them will have special things that you can swap fruit with them, trade with them, and you can get some
So
cool
it's money.
stuff.
It's money, but it's fruit.
Yeah, so it's like a more wholesome version of trading. Yeah, so where it's like, and they all love the fruit. It's really delicious, and so it's something, and it's like a fruit that's not found anywhere else. So we like this idea of like ambrosia fruit. But also, I really want to make a game as you're kind of exploring around, that you have a little micro collections, those little bits of gameplay. So it's like, okay, I can see this. And we've tried to make lots of little circuits around. Yeah.
And I will
So,
also
yeah.
vote little things like parallax that are maybe little effort, but with an immediate visual impact feel so rewarding.
Yeah, I think it's just those little illusions that bring things to life, I think. Yeah.
I
So,
took part in 2 game jams in my life, and the first one of them was where I learned what parallax is, because we
Ah.
made a little parallax effect, and I was so proud to. Oops.
so if you so if you look at your map now again, you should be able to see where you're meant to go next.
Ah, okay. I thought I wanted to ask the oracle about it.
Yeah, so you can do that as well. You can also ask the oracle, and she'll kind of direct you to the other place as well. I think there is, if you want to move a little bit faster, there's a sprint button
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, that's true. I just think
it
that
might be on shift.
the default running speed is also pretty fine, I think.
Yeah, no, we tried to make it so that it's all about player choice. It's all about player choice. That actually tried to get it so that people can they have the option, but they don't have to use it. So.
Oh.
And and this is
Right.
it starts off as the lonely lighthouse in the game. So this is going to be Alex's base of operations, and because it looks quite cold and like barren at the moment, but actually as you play the game, it's going to get filled up with different decor items and things you can collect. So that as your adventure grows, so also will this lighthouse base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there'll be lots of different things you can collect. It's really the idea of I also like it in there's a Thimbleweed Park there where it has physical representations of your progress in the game, through some of the machines that you have. So really the idea of being able to go and visit the lighthouse again and seeing oh, look how much extra stuff I've got. It's just kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So now now you can see we've got the clock. We can see the hands of the clock turning, and so now
That's right. Mm-hmm.
we can go and visit the messenger again and have a chat with them.
Also, I like the color change just of the daytime, nighttime.
Yeah, so that's cool, and that's all dynamic. So it'll change. Will change over the course of the day. I think a day is about 12 minutes long, I'm going to say.
There he is.
Here you can see there he is in his tiny Speedos.
Dummies. Right?
All right.
Again, you can see here there's palm trees, there's all the ropes, and there's a seaplane bobbing in the background, there's the sea coming in and out, and that's another topic unlocking. We tried to really try and put as much motion in the game world as we can, I think just layering up that motion is something we're really keen on. It's something I think it's probably a signature style of our studio.
I just wanted to ask, but now it explained itself, if Alex gets that they are the gods, and yes, she seemingly she understands.
Yeah, so I think to start off with, Hermes is the first one she meets. So I think it's she kind of there's a little bit of is he just a person called Hermes, or is he the Hermes?
I mean, he has wings.
Yeah. There's definitely elements of is she just concussed? Has she hit her head in the shipwreck, or is this all actually happening? Here we're starting to learn more about he can't really remember very much. He thinks this is all quite normal. And then we'll be able to work out how we can start helping him and unlocking paths deeper into the island.
Okay. Before I talk to him, I want to check out the friends page. Okay. Different levels.
So here you can see at the bottom there's all the things you can swap fruit for these different winged keys, and these actually open up fast travel portals. There was actually, do you remember in the start of the game, the demo, there was a door in the middle of just in the sand. So basically there's some magic doors around the island that you use these keys to unlock, and they basically they're fast travel portals. So as you unlock more of them, you can, even though the island's like a kilometer square, you can basically whiz around the island really, really quickly. So again, about player choice and freedom, choosing how they want to play.
Also, this is just really beautiful UI. I love this level system. His little icon, and I'm already excited to find out all the icons of the different gods that we get to know. Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they've been really fun. I think it's really interesting. Like I spent a lot of time when I was at my last years at PlayStation when I was art director. I spent a lot of time looking at UI and trying to make things very readable and very, very clear. There's that really fine balance between getting all the information that people need onto the screen, but making it not feel cluttered. Finding that balance. Yeah, I really like. I do really like working in UI as well. I think sometimes people are like, "Oh, UI is really boring." It's like so important. It's like so important to the game. Yeah, I think it's really fascinating.
Especially when you have something like that Ambrosia decks, that is such an important part of the game. You'll have to make people like using it. And
Yeah, I think,
yeah.
but I think it's definitely like like you can play the game and not come back and look at this stuff. It's not critical. But again, it's about giving people the option that if they want the information, it's there. It's very easy. You can bring it up anywhere. Yeah.
When we know each other better, maybe we can swap food. Okay.
And we talked a bit about Elle, who voices Alex. Actually, Hermes and all the other Greek gods are voiced by 2 Greek actors. So Daphne Alexander, she voices all the kind of female characters, and Konstantinos Rapanis, he voices all the male characters. And they're so amazing. They've got such range that they can act all these different characters, and we treat their voices on top. So we'll add like some electricity crackle to Zeus and Hera, and like the heat of the furnace to Hephaestus' voice. So yeah, they've been really great to work with. But I think that's really important for us, is that the gods were voiced by Greek actors. So and the same thing we did with Röki, where we used Scandinavian actors, because even though it's not fully voiced and these emote sounds, you still get the accents, you still get the intonation. It's an extra thing that adds into that sense of place. So yeah, so that's nice.
It's also amazing when you have such limited sounds that you voice to still make every character distinguishable from each other.
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of of the direction, and make sure that it's another ingredient that helps, along with their visual design, distinguish them from each other. So yeah, it's definitely a really I think it's a really, really important one.
They don't talk.
Yeah, so I think this is a kind of like an interesting one that. So when you arrive the game, part of your mission is that actually the gods have all shut themselves away from each other. They're all scared of each other. So maybe once they were a family, but now they're kind of, things happen to them. They've all isolated themselves. So this is the thing. It's not about just allowing them to rediscover who they are and their identities. It's about reconnecting to each other as a kind of dysfunctional family unit. So there was where the oracle was. You can see it in the background here. There's a big entrance to the temple, and that's almost like the end goal for the demo. Demo, it's kind of up on Steam at the moment. We'll probably go down after the podcast, but it will be up again for future festivals when people will be able to play it for themselves. But yeah, we wanted to. It's actually you probably get ready. It's quite a big demo, so there's someone who played it at Ludinaricon for over 2 hours.
What?
Just exploring and doing all these different bits and pieces. Like generally, like it's 35 minutes minimum, but like it can go much longer, because we want people to be able to take their time and just enjoy the game. Yeah. So now you can see like all the different topics we've unlocked, and we record which ones you've asked about already. But here's an important one. So part of this bit of the demo is about learning how asking characters about things can unlock new paths. So yeah, I think you've asked about Hermes. I think There'll be a seabirds topic that basically is unlocked when you ask Hermes about himself. That's he's got an interest in seabirds, and then
Okay.
it's actually that was an interesting one there. So you can see a little padlock there on one of the topics, and
Yes,
that
and
means that,
apparently I need to reach friendship level 1, I guess, to get no more.
so again, that's the thing of like wanting to like the theme of friendship actually is really linked in. So there'll be conversation topics that are locked until you're close enough. As it like if you came and asked me about something very personal, nothing goes to like the color of my socks, I'd go, how terribly, how that's very personal to me. How dare you? Whereas
Now I want
really
to ask you.
they're just white. They're just white. It was, so it's. I think it's those things about actually that's a natural thing. It's not a kind of artificial concept. It's something in real life that actually you have to get to know someone before they will talk to you about certain things. And also, that seaplane in the background is actually Hermes' home. And if you try and run into it now, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
But once you're closer to them, you will be able to. So actually, friendship as a way of like gating access to the island and to parts of the story was something that was really cool. So, but as I've been talking, so you now Hermes has basically given you asked you to help him by feeding the gulls that are around the island. So
with the right dates,
so that's like kind of the next part of like building your kind of friendship with Hermes, and then so you're going around and like and feeding all these seagulls. And then later, each god has these friendship favors, but also the key part of bringing back their memories is finding lost items. And so each, maybe we won't get to it, but you can see on the Ambrosia decks, on the top left, there's like this radar, these radar kind of sonar bands, and once you've unlocked the radar for each god, then it's almost like a metal detector that works off friendship. So you'll be able to then run around and find hidden things around the island, whether they're in secret walls, behind waterfalls, in bushes, underneath rocks. Items that were of importance to that person, and then these memorable items can bring back memory flashbacks and help them to recover their identities.
So right now I'm just just checking out the island for a bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's like there's lots of different things to do, and there's like you can see like there's a suspicious-looking stone there with a bolt on it. So
it'll have to do with Zeus.
There's lots of different things in the demo. You go like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to be doing with that. I wonder what I'm going to be I wonder what I'm going to be exploring, and like certain routes will be blocked, and then it's about kind of opening them up and seeing how. But we think of the island almost like an ant's nest. So it's all interconnected, lots of different paths and passages around, and obviously it's quite an ancient historic place. They're always packed full of different nooks and crannies and secret tunnels and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we try and really make it. It's all quite interconnected. So here you can see you found a ladder. You can't get to it yet, but you can imagine when you get to the kind of orchard at the top, you'll be able to then pull the lever and the ladder will come down, and you've unlocked that path now. So I think that's maybe something. Something that comes from those games like those Metroidvania games where everything's quite interlocked. But I kind of call it like a microvania, because I want the island to be quite small and compact and feel quite intimate. Even at a kilometer square. So like the idea of like you get that sense of unlocking things, and we had that in the kind of second act of Röki, where it's this kind of like open world bit. So we wanted that kind of again, but just to feel like there's a place you really got to know, and obviously we have the added dynamic of the day and night cycle too now, and just so it's it's really fun. There's lots more we want to do in terms of packing in like motion into the game world. So you can see here now that's the kind of door that eventually has a
Okay.
strange circular hole in it, and eventually that'll be something you could try and access at the end of the demo. Maybe.
Ah,
Don't spoil it too much.
yeah, but I bet I'm taking way too long right now.
I think you could play for you can definitely like play the demo for ages and really soak it up. But I think you've probably already got quite a good idea of what the gameplay like, what it's like talking to
Yeah.
people, and
And I can't stop, collecting those Ambrosia foods. It's
really
addicting.
addictive. It is very addictive.
So the Witch's Tower, is that Hecate?
So no, well, basically, like with this, so like with the Hermes being the messenger, is basically like part of the game is like finding out who these characters are, but generally because they're all so fearful of each other, they have like they've forgotten who they are and who everyone else is. They have like misconceptions. So at one point, someone talks about the beast who lives in the orchard, and there's the sea devil who lives in the harbour, and the witch who lives in the tower over here. There's like, but these are kind of like also like quite fearful perceptions that they've built up somehow to keep them scared away from the other islanders. So I won't spoil it too much, but you have to play the game and find out who they, which god, which misconception is.
But it's super interesting to. So if you know a bit about Greek mythology, you can keep guessing what they mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think there's and that's the really nice thing when when watching some streams of people playing the demo and they can see they can see like various like hints and stuff. Like, so for example, in Hermes' shop, if you go and look at the different keys that he has, one of them is the key to the underworld. And so people go like, "Ooh, I get to go to the underworld," and like, it's I think we've tried to leave lots of little try and actually leave the demo really open as possible so that people can just experience it and get excited at the hints of what's in the bigger game.
Ah, okay. Guess I made him happy by feeding the birds.
Yes. And
Also
so now
funny,
actually,
I live in a coastal town too, and most people aren't that happy when you feed the seagulls, but
yeah, no, we're same here. In fact, like in Dundee, like if you walk around with a portion of chips or like French fries, then the seagulls take your head off and then take your chips.
It's dangerous. It's definitely dangerous. Also, if you're at the beach and you leave your things unattended, when you go into the water or something, there's just a bunch of seagulls flying over to it. Okay, I just want to talk to Hermes, and then I think I'll close the demo for now. But I definitely can't wait to collect all the foods.
Yeah, no worries.
When the game's out.
So this might be kind of interesting because
Alex.
actually just made it. Basically you can see the sun's going down now.
Yeah.
In about 10 more minutes, he was going to go and he was going to go back into his seaplane. So.
Perfect timing.
Oh.
The firewood. Okay, cool.
Oh.
Really sweet though to see like how it works, how my place gets more cozy over time.
Yeah, and so
he's quick.
there's quite a lot of different bands of the demo. So there's the kind of collecting of mementos, the collecting of fruit, there's the trading. Actually, there's also decor items that will wash up in crates onto the beach. There's like lots of things to introduce. So the demo is this really this is like the demo is basically the start of the game. Is like how do we introduce all these different concepts and layer them on like one by one to stop the player getting like overwhelmed. So to start off with, it's about feeding the birds, and then here you'll see we'll have unlocked the tracking of these familiar objects.
Yes.
And so it's about layering up the different ingredients of the game rather than.
And now he explains the waiter.
Yeah.
My waiter frequency. I wish I could share my waiter frequency with friends. Please find objects that I want.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the fun thing is like having like a magical object like the Ambrosia Dex. It's something that can like almost has his personal emotional signature on that kind of like tracks down his specific thing. So it's nice when you can do like fun magical things.
Okay. I'll close it now, but with a heavy heart because
Ah.
if this was a full, I mean, I really see what you mean with being into this game and being immersed in it and not wanting to go out. Like I could play this for hours just because. I mean, I think a lot of it is what you mentioned, like all the little animations, and that everything feels alive, and that even just running around the island and not really doing a lot is fun somehow. I also just like those dust clouds. I think they were
Yeah.
in Röki too, right? Or was it snow there or something? But
Yeah, so the actual the when you run on the sand, that's exactly the same geometry particles as
ah,
was in Röki for the snow, but obviously we've changed them. Yeah, the dust ones are kind of similar but new. But one of the things we wanted to do was with all our particles in the game are geometry based. They're all this kind of solid, quite chunky style. And I think that was something that a stylistic thing. It just felt that everything meshed together much better when we had we had these kind of like solid geometry particles.
mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. I'm closing it. I'm doing it.
That's really nice. That's really nice to hear. And like, yeah, the demo will be going down shortly off Steam, but like it will be up for future festivals. I'm sure if anyone else wants to play it, and there'll be like new improvements in there as well. And obviously, people can feel free to go and wishlist the game on Steam as well and keep track of its development. Yeah.
You absolutely should. I did too.
Uh,
So I have a few more things I just want to ask you or want to talk about. And I mean, it's a pretty obvious question. We already talked about you doing modern version of the gods, but did you have any like? How did you get the specific ideas? Was there a specific inspiration? Like, for example, in the promo images, I saw Hephaestus being in a wheelchair, which I think is like such a good idea. But how did you get these ideas?
so yeah, we kind of designed them as a cast. As a cast of characters, we consider them as a whole. So basically, when you want them to stand next to each other, you want to be able to tell them apart quite easily. You don't want like Ares to look too similar to Zeus, or just have like slightly,
Mm-hmm.
same body shape, but it's different color hair. It's like it's too close. So you want to make it's all about contrast. That's the nice thing about life, and like life has contrast. People are different, and like in really like designing your cast and distilling them to make sure that they all look different and contrast from each other. That's really really important. Um, but then it was like looking at the original myths and going like, well, okay, Hephaestus's myth centers around how he is born and him being cast out. So it's like, well, let's take that into his character design. Like, why not? And I think in terms of creating a cast that reflects the differences we see in the world around us is a really healthy thing to be doing. But yeah, and something that's just like really fun, like going, okay, let's make Hades like so pale he's blue, and it's like just
He also
that kind
has
of
that
like
funny shirt, right? With dead,
yeah, and
DED.
it was
Just
yeah, our publisher Whitethorn Games, they did an amazing job of actually making it so you can buy the hoodie with dead on it from
wait, you
their store.
can? You can
Yeah, but
already?
it's not cropped. But yeah, you can already buy it. Yeah.
Oh, I want it
Um,
cropped.
so you have to get some scissors out.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so that's and just like really, that's really, that's something that's really, just being like playful with some of them and going like, okay, like if what would the god of death be doing if he was alive now? And I imagine him like, sitting in his basement, feeling kind of like maybe a bit depressed, listening to like old records, drinking lots of coffee, not eating that much. Yeah, and I think one of the key things about our modern version of the gods is that we look at themes that are very present in our lives today. Like for example, Ares in the game is like has like red tinted skin and is very very angry person. Um, it's about toxic masculinity, not being able to communicate, and having kind of repressed emotions. Hephaestus in the game is like very overworked, and it has that kind of there's like a stress there. So actually looking at it like going, okay, how can these gods, as well as being the gods and having like lightning and and magical powers, what are the things that are present in our world that we want to maybe we can explore with them? Because ultimately, like we want you as the player to be able to connect with the gods and go, actually, that's quite an interesting. Yeah, I've experienced that in my life. I can actually connect with them on
Mhm.
an emotional level, and so
And that
yeah, making them relevant to kind of people today was a really important thing. That makes them feel much more human as well, right? They have problems.
Yes,
They're
yes,
not.
that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to say. I like that they are kind of relatable, like what you just said about Hades, because I think there are a lot of modern conceptions of these myths where they are still, super mighty gods that
Mm.
somehow rule the world. But it's interesting to explore them as, well, more more human gods. I mean, with still special powers and stuff, but also
Mm.
relatable problems.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes them much more interesting than like if they were like superheroes, right?
Mhm. Do you know the webcomic Law Olympus? I bet you
I
do,
do.
right?
It's down there
Awesome,
somewhere.
awesome. I have one of them there too, somewhere in that
Ah,
shelf. I just had to think of it when you said that Ares has the bright red skin because Law Olympus works a lot with these super bright colors, and Hades is
right.
completely blue and Persephone completely pink and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think it allows us to really like really pop the characters away
Mhm.
from each other. I think that whether there's what if there's one thing that's kind of like been a real inspiration. It's not really like mythology based, but the cartoon Steven Universe is one that I kind of
Mhm.
really like tonally, and I think the whole game we've like said tonally is like Saturday morning cartoon. That's what we want it tonally to feel like. But into like a modern one, something like Steven Universe or like the new She-Ra, that's something that feels like it has that emotion. It has that emotional. You can do stuff that's quite emotionally hard hitting, but also feels quite fun and playful, and is there to entertain. I think Steven Universe is like the incredible how it starts off and it's quite fun and playful, but actually goes in this really epic
Yes.
intergalactic direction, and but all you have a really strong connection to all the characters, and they're all quite flawed.
And
So
also the
yeah.
characters are also, yeah, super distinguishable,
Hmm.
even just because of, their names, their stones, their colors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's really interesting, that approach to not design every character by themselves, but always in relation to each other, to like have them all next to each other and see, are they different enough? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really important because at some point in the game we will probably all see them together, and even like for like the key art, right? You'll see them all together on the key art. It's really important that they go like, oh, that's that one, that's that one, that's that one. You can instantly tell from just a glance which one is who. Yeah.
Just imagine you put them all together at the end, then notice, oh boy,
Yeah.
they're all
It's
the
like,
same.
oh no,
What did we
back
do?
to the start. Yeah.
Um, One thing I also wanted to ask you about is, so we talked a lot about the gods, and also, okay, Alex lands on this island, but also on your Steam page it says that the game is an emotional journey, and I just wanted to ask, how much of an emotional journey is it for Alex herself? Because, of course, the gods, there's a lot going on with them, and you try to get them back in the memory. But can you tell us a bit about what's going to go on with Alex?
Yeah, so I'm sure like a lot of people, like Alex lives in the modern world.
Mhm.
She lives in Britain, and I think like at the start of the game, she's taking a much needed break from the kind of hustle and bustle of modern life. And so I think people will be able to relate to that a lot with everything that's going on with everyone. And so like there's it's definitely like starts the game. She was very much in the need of a break, and now this has happened. She can't catch a break. And so Alex will be definitely having a journey as well. But I think it's really one of the things we really liked is like we don't really like the idea of like chosen ones or like the
Mhm.
special person. And so Alex is very much a normal person. But we really like the idea of a normal person with everyday problems
Yeah.
helping out, rescuing the gods. Um, um, and that was something we felt was really powerful. You don't have to be a superhero to be a hero. So
Also feels, yeah, relatable. I hate playing a game or reading a book and then noticing the Mary Sue stereotype happening. You know that?
Yeah, is that when like people are just perfect?
Hmm. And
Yeah.
chosen ones with super special abilities and very far away from you as a player. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's that's the kind of that whole thing about yeah, it's definitely something we explored with Röki, with Lars, like what was the reason why he in particular was was powerful to the story, and that kind of like and that in Röki, without too many spoilers, that was kind of more down to like chance thing, like a freak chance thing, rather than like it was his blood or it was this or that. And so I think like actually the reason why Alex is able to help in Mythwrecked is because she's normal,
Hmm.
doesn't have the that she's a normal person. I think that's something that's really really powerful.
And I have one question for the end that I always like to ask at the end. Is there something you had to scrap from the game? Like, is there something that you would have loved to have in there, but it's just impossible? Like more characters, other gameplay, a totally different storyline. Um,
I think so far no, but we still have a while of development yet. So you can ask me again when the game is out. But the but yeah, I think there's like I think it's always nice to be like add more and more characters in. But we are a very small team, and so like
Mm,
there's a balance there of like being too ambitious. I think one of the things that experience as a developer hopefully gives you is you try and go, we need to make something that's achievable. And I think learning the tricks tactics to make something that feels big and epic and telling a story
mm,
about gods and the universe, but with like a tiny team is about choosing your art style, choosing about how you stage things, how you make stuff. So I think yeah, hopefully, I think there's also you're always trying to push yourself. You're always trying to make something that's better and that feels bigger. But yeah, there's definitely a balancing it there. But yeah, so far we have everything in that we want, but who knows? Maybe yeah, we will see. But we're really pleased with how the game is shaping up and the reaction when people have been playing the game, like at Ludinaricon
mhm.
and like here and watching streams has been really really nice because you when you're making the game you're really close to it. So it's nice to be a step back and see people engaging with it and enjoying the game and going, oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? That's really nice.
Mhm. I definitely enjoyed it a lot, and I can't wait for more news release date sometime.
Ah,
But first of all, just take your time, of course. Finish it the way you want it to be finished. And yeah, even though you're a small team, I guess it's a big help though that you're all very experienced, right?
yeah, I mean, we kind of have a mix of experience on the team. So yeah, but that does help. Like yeah, some people are less experienced on the team, but I think yeah, that definitely helps. But you're right. I think there's like we've been making games for too long to know that we really the importance of having a good work-life balance
Hmm.
and making sure that the game is really good and ready when people. So but yeah, people can like follow the Steam page or our social accounts. They want to keep up to date on like what's happening with the game and when it will be out and all that kind of stuff.
And I will once again link your webpage.
Awesome.
Like that. And yeah, thank you a lot for being here. It was an honor for me, especially because I liked Röki so much, and
Ah,
it has a special spot in my heart. So really nice to talk to you and get to know Mythwrecked a bit better.
no,
And
that's great. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been really nice.
I really hope we get to see each other at Adventure X, maybe eventually
Yes, that'd be really cool.
later this year. Yeah, to the viewers, first of all, still good luck to those who are taking part in the Adventure Jam. Can't wait for your games and to play them finally. And just a little stuff from us. Of course, if you want to not miss any future streams of Campfire Conversations or other streams or us playing the Adventure Jam games, then of course you can follow us on social media. It's all linked below, so you can follow us on Twitter or join our Discord. That's always the best way to stay in touch with us. To let us know if I don't know you have any questions, want to tell us how to do our stuff better or something like that. And also linked below is our Narrative Outlook newsletter. So we have a monthly newsletter about narrative games, highlighting games like Mythwrecked, for example, and other announcement releases and so on. And yeah, sharing a bit of game development insights, a bit about our company. So if you haven't signed up for that, maybe do it if you're into narrative games. And with that, thank you again, Alex. Thank you, chat, and see you again next time. Bye bye.
Yeah.